We have things understood now with Iran. It's been nasty. They've lost their leaders. And it really is regime change. We didn't set out for regime change, but by the fact that we're dealing with a totally different group of people than we were at the beginning. And frankly, I find them to be much more reasonable. I actually find them to be smarter, but I find them to be much more reasonable. This is regime change. One regime is gone, another regime is gone, we're dealing with the third.
Is Mojtaba Khamenei now a bigger challenge for Donald Trump than his predecessor slain Ali Khamenei? Or does Iran's leadership remain Washington's most difficult obstacle regardless of who is in charge? Trump has declared that the U.S. campaign against Iran is effectively over, but the bigger question remains: who actually emerged victorious from the confrontation? From calls for regime change to high-stakes deal-making, has Trump fundamentally changed his Iran strategy, or simply adjusted his approach in pursuit of a different kind of victory? U.S. President Donald Trump has declared an end to his military campaign against Iran, signaling a major shift toward diplomacy. In a post on Truth Social, Trump called for global oil markets to return to normal operations following the pause in hostilities. His statement marked a notable departure from earlier rhetoric that had been interpreted by many as support for regime change in Iran. During the conflict, U.S. policy appeared to evolve from discussions of regime change toward a more pragmatic diplomatic approach. Trump has since stated that he never cared about regime change in Iran, according to reporting by the Wall Street Journal. The U.S. president also described Iran's current leadership as the most rational group the United States has ever dealt with. This comes after Trump had initially signaled support for Iranian protesters at the beginning of the conflict. The U.S. president also spoke about the possibility of a broader transformation of Iran's political system during the early stages of the war. Despite weeks of military strikes, the Iranian state remained intact and no large-scale uprising ultimately emerged. In the aftermath, Iran was able to disrupt global energy markets through the closure of the vital Strait of Hormuz. The resulting economic shock contributed to oil market volatility and increased international pressure for a negotiated settlement. While a recent deal has paused the conflict, major questions surrounding Iran's nuclear program remain unresolved. Iran state-affiliated Mehr News has published what it says is a 14-point draft agreement outlining a potential framework for a U.S. Iran deal. According to Mehr, the reported draft begins with an immediate and permanent end to military operations across multiple fronts in the region. The United States would pledge not to interfere in Iran's internal affairs under the reported framework. Washington would formally recognize and respect the sovereignty of the Islamic Republic. The U.S. would lift its maritime blockade measures within 30 days of the agreement taking effect. American forces deployed around Iran's periphery would be withdrawn as part of the proposed arrangement. The Strait of Hormuz would reopen under security and transit arrangements coordinated by Iran. The draft also reportedly includes the release of $24 billion in frozen Iranian funds. These assets would be unlocked during a 60-day negotiation and implementation period. Half of the funds would reportedly become available to Tehran before formal talks begin. The reported concessions would represent a major economic lifeline for sanctions-hit Iran if implemented. Iran secured changes to Strait of Hormuz provisions during the final hours of negotiations, according to Iran's Tasnim news agency. Tehran pushed for revisions to the draft agreement. The IRGC-affiliated Tasnim reported citing an informed source. The source said issues related to management of the strategic Strait of Hormuz were among the last changes negotiated. Tasnim said Iran also secured the addition of language guaranteeing Lebanon's sovereignty within the proposed framework. A clause affirming Lebanon's territorial integrity was reportedly inserted during the final hours of negotiations. Iranian sources said the Lebanon provision became an important factor in Tehran's calculations during the talks. Tasnim claimed Tehran subsequently shelved a planned military response to an Israeli strike on Beirut's Dahiyeh district. The source said Iran viewed the new language as a concession that directly benefited Lebanon's interests. Meanwhile, Iran's armed forces said they had humiliated both the United States and Israel during the conflict. The General Staff reportedly claimed Iran had imposed its divine and iron will on its adversaries. General Staff said, and I quote, Iranian forces have, through the imposition of their divine and iron will upon the humiliated American and Zionist enemies, demonstrated with strength that the enemy has no path other than accepting defeat and surrender." Unquote. The statement was issued shortly after the announcement of an agreement intended to bring the war to an end.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.